After 10 years, so you mean to tell me that whole time you were in the relationship, you had no issue. And then we have to think about, so she had no issue at the time that she was in the relationship. Within the 10 years, I mean, I've seen her on the red carpet and stuff like that.
Yep.
I'll tell you one thing, she didn't look depressed. She didn't look depressed at all. She didn't look like somebody should ask her, do you need any help? There was no doubt and no questioning if Cassie was okay.
Normal Bros, and we back at it again. First of all, I'm gonna need you to tell a friend and tell a friend and tell a mother effing friend to follow and subscribe to your boys. We're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and other podcast platforms as well. You can catch us on YouTube and TikTok. That's Far From Normal Podcast. Make sure you type that into a search engine and see the boys on those clips. We got everything for you. We got the website, www.farfromnormalpodcast.com. We got all the links up there. Make sure you check it out. Of course, YouTube. We're on Instagram as well. That's far_from_normal_podcast. Check it out. You already know. It's your boy Fuzzy Vision. You know I see the world clear. And you know I see the future. And the future is bright. You already know. Fuzzy Vision with 2 N's. If you have any likes, dislikes, rebuttals, or you want to be on the podcast, hit your boy up. Sonny, drop the handle, baby.
You already know what it is. It's your boy Sonny Frames. You can catch me on the gram at Sonny, SONNY, Frames, double S at the end. Make sure when you do check out my Instagram page, check out my stories, because I usually post a lot of stuff that has to do with motivation, inspiration, chasing your dream, and execution. So let's not forget, any dream that you're trying to achieve, the only way that you'll ever achieve it is through execution and putting a plan to motion. So make sure that you don't just stay in the dream world, and make sure you make it a reality.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy.
And Fuzzy, let's get him.
Y'all already know we back. You already know it's Far From Normal Bros.
Yes, sir. All day, every day. You know
yes,
we
sir.
do.
So you already know what time it is.
So
you know, it's ending. We're ending off the year pretty soon. We're in November. You know what that means. That means planning for the new year and stuff like that. So
speaking of planning for the new year's, your birthday just passed. And let us know, what were you doing on your birthday?
Oh, yeah. Shout out to me. You know, shout out to all the Scorpios. You know, mad love to them. November babies, you already know what's up. So yeah, my birthday was not too long ago, about a week ago, and I ended up going to a gun range. I ended up going to the gun range. You know, I had to shoot some firearms. That's how I celebrate. At least that's how I wanted to celebrate. It was something I wanted to do for a little while. Just never had a chance. You know, COVID hit.
Wow.
So a lot of those things got derailed, and just being lazy. I also did want to go skydiving, but it's a little too cold in November, you know?
Oh, yeah, nah.
We didn't get to do that, but the gun range was dope. Got to shoot a Glock 9, got to shoot semi-automatic rifle, and we got to shoot a shotgun, 12 gauge, boy.
Yes.
And that thing had some kick in it.
Oh, it really did.
How about for yourself? Because I know it was your first time going to a gun range. I already had been.
Yeah, so for my first time, I thought it was crazy in the sense that I didn't know how much power a gun had until you had it in your hands, and also just aiming at your target, how much your hand is shaking, and you needing to understand your breathing in order to get on target. Even when you're trying to learn how to breathe properly and correctly, when you shoot, it's hard because you need to keep your eyes open and you got to stay on target. But when you shoot, your hand shakes. Like it looks like you're hitting your target, but then your target ends up moving because your hand ends up moving. So your target doesn't move, but your hand moves. So you're not able to get your target on point.
Absolutely. Like, it was pretty crazy when we were first shooting, because I don't know if you noticed it, but when we first were shooting, you felt like your heart rate go up.
Yes,
Well,
definitely.
first of all, your surroundings. There's other people shooting around you, so you're hearing that, and it's loud when you first get into the room. Even though you have earmuffs on, it's loud as hell.
Yeah, and I think it's the adrenaline rush of knowing that you're about to shoot, so you're kind of excited, but you want to hit the target, so you don't want to shoot immediately. You're trying to focus your hand, so you're basically trying to tailor down your excitement so that you're able to hit your target, and you're trying to calm down your breathing in order to stay focused enough to hit your target. But even when you try and shoot, that kickback moves you away from your target.
Absolutely, man. There's so much aspects when it comes to shooting, especially accurately. And if you think about like soldiers, people that are in wars and have to hit an actual moving target in bad conditions, in rough terrain, and all that, kudos to them, man. Salute to all those people, because, I mean, it's so hard to just hit a regular still object that's in perfect lighting, that, you know, you're in your perfect stance, you can breathe, people are giving you advice, and you're still missing that target. I did hit a bullseye, though, so I'm gonna say that.
I also hit a bullseye, so and I hit it on my second try for my first time doing it.
Yes,
so
sir.
with a handgun. But I had to switch hands while I was shooting, so that's what made my shooting a little more difficult than the rest of you guys.
Yeah, you need great eyesight, and yes, hand-eye coordination. Obviously, your hands and how you see things have to coordinate together in order to hit a target. But it's something I would encourage a lot of people to get into. I know with the war and everything going on nowadays, people kind of are shying away from guns. Especially here in Ontario, they put like a ban on handguns and all type of stuff. So I already know that, you know, the society we're in is liberal. They're not promoting guns. They're not telling people to go to gun ranges, learn how to shoot, get educated about it. But in my opinion, if you're getting educated about guns and you're shooting them responsibly, there's no harm, no foul. I think 100%. It's better to know, you know, about these things, because these things are so prevalent in our culture.
Yes.
We always see video games with guns.
Yes.
We watch movies with guns, but you don't even know how to shoot a gun. You don't even know what the feeling is. And a lot of people mimic, you know, what they see online, and they think it's play. They think it's like a toy.
But at the same time, you could get a gun license here, so therefore you can get a gun, but now it's just restricted to what you can actually get.
I think that's the problem. So people are like, do I want to do the legwork to only get a certain amount of, like, certain guns?
Yes.
Most, in any country, even if you look at America, obviously they have way more lenient laws where you can walk around concealed carry.
Yes.
So you're good.
Yes.
Here, you'd have to keep your gun in a safe. So I can understand why people wouldn't want to get a gun license, just to have it at a safe or just to take it out to a gun range.
Yes.
But, you know, that's another topic for another day.
Exactly. Well, let's talk about the weekend. You know, what have you been up to on this weekend?
Oh, this weekend, just been chilling, man. Just been chilling, hitting the gym as usual, you know, keeping that focus up, you know, always keeping the body right. Yeah. You know, doing a little bit of reading as well, man. You always got to keep your mind
You're reading
sharp.
now?
Always, man. Even if you read a little bit, I think that's the misconception of reading. People think that you have to read a full novel, you have to read a full book, and I think that there's many ways to read. There's audiobooks or listening to somebody explain something that they've read, or perspectives of opinions on something. So I think reading, even if you read an article, you know, there's so much things going on. And one thing I've read recently is the Cassie versus Diddy situation.
Yeah, that's a big one right now. That's circulating on the web.
So sometimes when you're reading, sometimes the news is what you're reading, right? You're just getting in tune and what's going on sometimes, and sometimes you're reading to improve yourself. So there's different aspects to it. But yeah, what I came across was Cassie versus Diddy, for those that didn't hear. Could you explain a little bit of this? Because I know you've heard of the whole Cassie.
Oh, yeah, for sure. It's all over social media. And I thought it was going to be it was going to be something very long and dragged out.
Well, it sounded like, what's his name? Harvey Weinstein situation?
Yes, definitely sounded like
Bill Cosby-ish.
Yes. So that's why I thought it was going to be drawn out long, and he's just going to have to endure. But at the same time, no, I didn't know it was going to come to its conclusion
within
2 days. You know, that was crazy, because I had my thought process on it, and I still have the same thought process on it to a certain degree. Yeah. But the fact that Cassie was with this gentleman, which is P Diddy. Well,
before we get into that, we have to explain. So we have to get into what are we talking about in terms of the Cassie Diddy situation. Not everyone knows what happened in the situation. So start there with the whole suit that Cassie set forth against Diddy.
Okay, so when we're talking about Cassie versus Diddy, the suit that she claimed was she wanted $30 million. And the $30 million was coming with the alleged, so basically she said that within the 10 years that they've been together, she was receiving abuse and she also was raped.
So I'll get into the details of the entire Cassie versus Diddy situation. So obviously Diddy is a billionaire hip hop mogul, and he was under a lawsuit filed by his ex-girlfriend of 10 years, long-term girlfriend, and pretty much she filed a lawsuit against him that was accusing him of rape and abuse. Years of abuse, right? So here are some details of like what happened over the course of the relationship. I just kind of want to give people a quick rundown. So basically they started this relationship. She was about 19 years old, when they began this relationship. He was far older than her, I assume so. And pretty much is just stating that, that's when the abuse started. And basically he was drugging her up, beating her, forcing her. This is all alleged. And, having sex with male prostitutes while he filmed the encounter. A lot of crazy details. This is why this blew up, and this is why this went viral, right? So pretty much P Diddy has denied all these claims, but this claim that she put forth was a lawsuit for $30 million. So now we can talk about the details of the relationship and what's your thoughts on the entire lawsuit period, because she hasn't been with this. She now has her own family. She's married and has 2 children. So she hasn't been with Diddy for years at this point.
5 years exactly.
5 years has it been?
Yeah.
So 5 years she hasn't been with him, but the lawsuit has dropped in 2023. So 2018 was the time that, the relationships dissolved.
Yeah.
And now she's coming out, with these allegations. So what's your thoughts?
And you know
on
what the
that
crazy
in
thing
general?
is? She ended up marrying her personal trainer.
Yes,
so this
exactly.
is somebody that's been around them for quite some time.
Yep.
And, it's crazy how she went from a business mogul to someone as average as a personal trainer. But he's not so average in the sense of a Joe Schmo, because he's still dealing with celebrities. And, to be a personal trainer amongst celebrities, you're not no Joe Schmo, right?
Yeah, so he probably making a little money. But
he's making a little money,
not
but I mean,
comparable to
we're not
Diddy.
compared. So we're making the comparison between a business mogul to a personal trainer. That's a big stretch. I mean, that's a big drop off, I would say. That's a big dip, right? And she had 2 kids with this guy, right? And I think she wanted this actually with Diddy. She wanted to have kids. She wanted to get married to Diddy. But again, Diddy had been married, I think, don't quote me on this, but I think he's been married already 3 different times, or 2 to 3 different times. And he has a couple of kids. So he's looking at, well, I don't need another wife because I've already been there, done that. That episode, that chapter of my life has passed. I'm a lot older now. I just want to have a girl or a companion with me that could, be with me through the rest of the time I have on earth, right? And which is, I completely understand that, because he's 50 something now. Like, why would you want to get back into a wedding, or going through that whole process of a wedding and meeting the family, in-laws, marriage? It's a whole ordeal when it comes to marriage and families and uniting families together. Plus he has other families from other wives that he had. That's a whole big ordeal. So, and the fact that he has so much money is another issue. Where do the inheritance, where do they go towards now that her kids are in the picture? So
yeah, so there's a lot of complications.
there's a lot of
a
lot of complications for
But
why.
she agreed to be in the relationship.
Yes.
She stuck
stuck
it
in
out,
it. Yep.
and she obviously knew that commitment. Well, she hoped the commitment probably was coming, but deep down she probably knew it would be hard to get that type of commitment out of him, just because of his own personal experiences and the fact that he has children and other people he has to take care of. But with that being said, we're now at the point of a $30 million lawsuit accusing him of rape and alleged
abuse.
Yeah,
abuse,
an alleged abuse. Yeah, like being in
abuse.
an abusive relationship that involved obviously physical abuse, verbal abuse, mental abuse, emotional abuse. Those will all be categorized within what she was saying. So speaking on that situation, not on the fact of who she's dealing with or who she's dating. Why do you think the relationship came to this point at this time? Why do you think that she filed this lawsuit at this time and this stage in her life?
So my thoughts is, so when they originally met each other, they were Diddy was 37 at the time. She was 19 at the time. She got it. I don't know how she met with Diddy, but you know, a pretty woman. She's trying to make a singing career. You meet somebody that goes through the grapevine. Eventually, with the right networking, you get to Diddy. She got to Diddy. Diddy was fond of her. You know, he signed her to the label. I don't know if that was before or after they started talking, but he was working with her.
So he was her boss and her lover.
Yeah, so her boss and lover. So
that's already a red flag.
That's a red flag. So I'm assuming she came in like many girls do when they're young. They come, they try out, they have a voice.
So honestly, sound like a casting couch.
Exactly.
LA special.
LA finest. You know, they come in, they're young. Apparently, they're naive. They're dumb. They got that twinkle in their eyes.
Yeah. Right. Well, this is what's gonna be alleged, right?
Yeah, this is all alleged, right? And then
youth and
she's
naivety.
Yeah, exactly. This guy's older. He's 37 years old. He's taking advantage. He has a lot more money in his hands and stuff of that nature. But I think the main thing for me is, since when was life ever fair? Because I'm trying to understand where people have gotten this concept that life is fair. Everybody should be playing by the rules. Nobody should be higher than the other person. Nobody should be taking advantage. Everybody should be on an equal level playing field. At what part in this world does that exist? Could you explain that one to me? Because I'm confused.
It doesn't exist, and that's why when you hear these type of allegations or these lawsuits come out, you kind of wonder, you know, why didn't this come out during the situation? Because she had been with him for 10 years, and she is alleging that like throughout most of the relationship, she's been in an abusive relationship.
Yeah, and let me finish my thought on that. So yes, they met when he was 37, she was 19. Now she's 37 and he's 54. So now Father Time has been taken away. And now she's at the ending point of her reign. So her beauty is now diminishing. Her value has diminished. She has 2 kids. So if the guy that she's with, if she leaves that guy, she's pretty much done for. And also, she doesn't hold the same value she held when she was 19. So according to Kevin Samuels, the late Kevin Samuels, IRP Kevin Samuels, she's damn near at outlet level.
Yeah, she's definitely at that outlet level.
She's already at that point.
But here's the thing, even, and because you're gonna get criticized for saying that, her value, et cetera, et cetera. But my whole thing is her value did drop. She's not what she used to be.
She's depreciating.
She obviously cannot make that same money. What she has requested is also part and parcel because her career never took off.
Yes,
she never had a career that was fruitful, that made her a lot of money. Not from my point of view, because she didn't make that many records.
She's almost honestly more like a one-hit
wonder.
Yeah.
She had 2 records that were hitting. By the end of the day, she had the machine. She had Diddy, Bad Boy behind her. At the end of the day, they helped that out, and with the producers, etc. But obviously, whether Diddy suppressed her career or whether that was her own doing, she just doesn't have that same value. She used to be obviously like a hot young girl that was an up and coming artist that people were interested in. But unfortunately, the music never hit. So
were we really interested in her?
Well, we're interested in her beauty.
We're in her beauty.
That's what I'm saying.
I liked her one track that she had.
But every woman that's in the industry, at the end of the day, it's usually a combination of they look good, then they have somewhat talent. I mean, the talent doesn't have to be immense for women.
No, 100%.
It just has to, your look is more what you're selling. So a lot of women sell sex.
Yeah.
So if you see certain girls like a Nicki Minaj or Ice Spice of more recent, we're watching her ass shake rather than what her lyrics are, because that's just what they're promoting for her. They don't promote her lyrics and say she's a lyrical genius, and that's what we're supposed to be listening
sex has always
at.
been the selling point for women, so that's why.
Not for every single woman, but
okay. Which ones? Which ones has it not been?
Lauryn Hill never.
Lauryn Hill.
She's one of the. Yeah,
that
but
was
she's
years
one-
ago.
I'm not
Years
saying
ago.
that's not what they promote. I'm just saying there are women that
Okay.
do that. They're just not as popular, of course,
Okay.
right? So you got the spectrum.
Yeah.
But again, her career, she's not gonna earn as much money as she earned when she was younger. So that potential is gone.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, she's now writing. The purpose, in my opinion, how I seen this is that she was gonna release a tell-all book.
Yes.
So obviously the tell-all book would be released exposing Diddy as well as promoting her book, of course, because she's going to put these excerpts in it of incidents that have happened beforehand, et cetera, et cetera. So she was promoting a book as well. So I always question what the fuck is going on when you're writing a book and then you want a lawsuit and you want 30 million off this alleged abuse, but you're trying to make money off of saying your story. And I kind of want to talk about what she was quoted saying, because she goes like this: after years in silence and darkness, I'm finally ready to tell my story and to speak up on behalf of myself and for the benefit of other women who face violence and abuse in their relationships. This is a statement she said.
After 10 years?
Yeah, so
See,
after 10 years.
So after 10 years. So after
and we're going to
you-
get back to that after we get deeper into this.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, after 10 years, so you mean to tell me that whole time you were in the relationship, you had no issue. And then we have to think about, so she had no issue at the time that she was in the relationship. Within the 10 years, I mean, I've seen her on the red carpet and stuff like that.
Yep.
I'll tell you one thing, she didn't look depressed. She didn't look depressed at all. She didn't look like somebody should ask her, do you need any help? There was no doubt and no questioning if Cassie was okay. But all of a sudden, 10 years pass. 5 years later, she gets married. She has 2 kids. Now, all of a sudden, she's in an abusive / rape situation for the past 10 years. And then we have to ask ourselves, at what point do we sit there? Because people will argue and say, some people argue and say, did he just pick the wrong woman? But then it's like, okay, he chose the wrong woman. The girl was with him for 10 years. How long is he supposed to wait? When a girl's with him for 15, 20, 30 years, when do we say that the woman is a good woman? Because how long does a person have to wait to understand that, this girl's going to take you for whatever you have, or she's going to want a piece of whatever you have if the relationship doesn't work out, whether it's a girlfriend or a wife? Because some people say, if you made her a wife, maybe that wouldn't have happened. Or maybe she was just the wrong girlfriend. But it's like, in life, you don't ever know if you're with the right woman. So when people say, are you with the right woman? I don't think you were with the right woman. They don't even know what that is. And no one ever does. You just, you basically gamble.
I don't think that,
You gamble. It's a gamble. And then whatever happens, happens. But it's a risk that if you're in a high position, you shouldn't be taking. Maybe if you're in a more, I would say, lesser position, but even at that, even if you're in a lesser position, if people in a high position are having issues, who the heck are you?
Yes, and to be fair, obviously people would say, "Oh yeah, you picked the wrong girl. Now she's coming after you. Now she's coming to take your money. You should have been more careful. You should have picked someone." They're gonna have all their everyone's vision is, like they say, everyone sees 2020 after the fact, right?
Hindsight vision.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone can see things. Oh, yeah, this is what you should have done.
Yeah.
And everyone's going to tell you what you should have done.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, life is life. And you pick who you pick and you make your mistakes. You bump your head and you keep moving on. You're not going to avoid every single obstacle, especially relationships. They're too arbitrary. You don't know one from the next, how it's going to be. Whether you're going to thrive in it, whether you're going to fail in it. I mean, people just take that risk, that leap of faith. But in that suit, it was saying that she actually was, a lot of the things that she was afforded was through Diddy. So obviously, not only they were saying he was controlling her career. Well, obviously that's her boss, and she chose to date her boss.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, the conflict of interest is already there. But she knew that, so that's not a surprise to anyone. But the next thing that was surprising is that it says that in addition to controlling her career, he paid for her car, apartments, clothing, and even had access to her personal medical records. According to the suit, the results from an MRI scan she had for memory loss, possibly caused by drug use or by a beating, she said she suffered from Mr. Combs, which is Sean Diddy Combs, went directly to him. So the MRI also went to him. And then it says that like he also provided her with copious amounts of drugs, including ecstasy, ketamine, urged her to take them, and then he was violent. He beat her up multiple times within the year, et cetera, et cetera. And the list goes on and on and on and on. So obviously, this sounds like it was, not just a regular abusive relationship. It sounds like the abusive relationship to the 10th degree.
Yes.
It doesn't sound like this is something that everyone just wakes up to. So obviously, she knew that
Is it premeditated, I would say.
She knew the relationship was headed down a bad path. And okay, fine, she didn't speak out on it. But the problem here is where I find the issue and where many men start to be suspicious. It's when you're doing a tell-all about what you experience and you're saying it's in order to help other women, but here's the kicker. What happened 2 days later after this allegation?
Oh, she called it off.
Why did she call it off?
Because she settled. She wanted the 30 mil. As soon as he said, hey, I'll give you the 30 mil, she's like, oh, I have nothing else to say.
And there you have it. There you have it.
That's where you catch them.
She changed her whole
She flipped the whole story. So
she flipped
basically,
the whole script.
So what she's saying that she could be bought. So even at that time period of the whole 10 years, the money that she was receiving, the perks that she was receiving all during that time period was basically a way of she would be now we could say that she was being bought off.
Yes.
Right? She was being bought off. She was okay with the deal at the time, right?
Yes.
And now with the 30 million and him settling with her, she's okay with this deal. But you see, the problem now is 5 years from now, 10 years from now, will she come back and now say...
No, settlements don't work this way. Settlements work that they would obviously set it up that you cannot speak anything about Diddy and your relationship. So it wouldn't be for this. It's obviously a permanent situation because you can't speak about any experience you've had with this gentleman. That's what they would stipulate.
This is what I would have an issue with, because I would think that Diddy and his people, his lawyers, would have already figured this out before Cassie, because this is not Diddy's first rodeo.
Yeah, but
he's been there, done that.
But who knows how public this was, right? The lawyers might not know what was going on in terms of their relationship. The lawyer's not going to know what's happening.
It's not about knowing what's going on with the relationship. It's about taking the precautions needed, because let's say for whatever reason, Diddy, this situation does not work out and she wants to do a tell-all book. I don't know what you do on your personal time with women, what you guys do, what kind of kinky stuff you guys do. But to keep you safe and to keep everything in order and for her not to run away with a bag, we're going to put these type of stipulations in place, make her sign this, and then we can move forward, because we don't want 10 years from now, 15 years from now, you come out saying, I'm going to write a tell-all book and I want you, now you're going to start blackmailing or extorting people for whatever amount of M's you want.
But the funny thing about this and what you said about like lawyers getting involved and stepping in and saying, hey, maybe
or advisors.
So lawyers won't get involved in that.
Advisors?
Because you pay a lawyer, a retainer to handle cases or lawsuits filed against you. They can give you opinion and advice for certain things, but at the end of the day, they're not gonna butt their nose in your business and everything like that. So especially when it comes to girlfriends.
He doesn't have advisors.
He probably has advisors, but at the end of the day, I don't picture many celebrities. There's good celebrities that have advisors, but you're looking at celebrities that make these type of mistakes constantly.
Yes.
Like we've seen NFL players get into the domestic violence situations. We've seen basketball players end up in these grape cases. We've seen so many cases, like grape in general. Like, how does that even come to fruition with being an athlete? You're telling me you don't understand how this works? You don't understand? You never seen people before you and them fail and them get into trouble? We literally have like 3 NBA players facing domestic violence and all type of charges alleged against women. So the fact of these men dealing with women, especially when you're a celebrity, that is all but the same fate they all face when they become a huge star. And it's not up to their lawyer or advisor to explain that to them. They should know better.
Yeah, they should know
Diddy's
better.
been in the game for how long, right? So you should know better, and it's just you don't know when one will do you in.
Yes.
For example, Donald Sterling. What happened to him?
He lost the whole team. He lost the whole
just off
Clippers
a
team.
side chick talking shit.
Yeah.
Like, you get what I mean?
Yep.
Or him not talking shit, but she recorded him talking shit,
Yeah.
actually. So that put him under the ground. So at the end of the day, a lot of men are making these mistakes in high positions. So I have to ask myself the question, are they even getting advised by anybody?
It's a
or
repeated
are they just
mistake
operating?
too. It's a repeated mistake, which is crazy.
I'll even talk about, like, you know, just simple stuff that, you know, you would think a celebrity of a high caliber would think. Even Tiger Woods, when he was caught for his alleged cheating and all that scandal. This guy was texting all these girls, leaving messages, voicemails, the dumbest things in the world. Like, we're excusing men that are being stupid and doing things that are
Idiotic
jeopardizing their career, jeopardizing their name. Like, everything that's happened to Diddy in this lawsuit is his fault.
Yeah.
He put that on himself by being in a long-term relationship, doing certain shit that it was freaky. This is a freaky boy.
No,
this is a freaky boy.
100%.
Diddy's a freaky guy.
He's a freaky guy.
So we have to realize that.
She's not the first to say it. 50 Cent said, I don't even go to his parties because
that boy
the type
freaky.
of freaky stuff that goes on in those parties, I don't want to be nowhere near it. And
that.
he put it out
50
there. He
Cent
said
been clowning him for this type of activity.
he was saying that. So that's why he paid her off quickly. But at the same time, I think the issue with a lot of these celebrities are they forget that they're a celebrity and everybody's trying to take a shot at them. Everybody's trying to get a bag off them, a piece off them. They want a slice of that cake because it's like, you have a lot of money to go around. Why can't I eat off that plate at the same time? So knowing that fact, you got to use your due diligence and take the precautions needed, because you can't be out there and talking to everybody like regular where everybody can see you all the time. Or if you are going to do that, you better have some serious advisors, some serious people around you that will definitely help you get out of situations that you may put yourself into. And you also have to have a listening ear as well, because I know a lot of these guys that have money don't want to listen to anyone. I got here by myself. I know what I did to get here. Who are you to tell me what to do? No, I got this under control. Well, if you're saying that, I got this under control and stuff of that nature, well, then nobody can help you, because it's like
that's
anything you say,
that's the issue.
You're gonna say, you don't need to tell me that. I know what I'm doing. I got this. And then they're gonna sit back. They're gonna just be a yes man. And when they become a yes man, you're in danger, because nobody will ever tell you what needs to be told.
Exactly. Speaking of yes man, that's the truth. When you're talking about advisors or people on his team not advising him, no, they could advise him, but at the end of the day, he could have advisors that are just yes men, men that are agreeable. They're not going to debate what he's doing in his relationship, and he's not going to discuss what he's doing in his relationship, because probably at a point in that relationship, if this abuse and control thing is true, he probably did think he had a control over her, because again, he was the boss before he was the boyfriend. So with that being said, there's going to be a power dynamic differential. Most people don't date their boss, because if you date your boss, they're more financially stronger than you. Obviously, they have more status than you.
No, actually, a lot do, because They either,
but usually I notice if you date up in terms of like upper management or people that are in charge of your company or whatever it is you do for work, there's usually a conflict of interest and there's usually a power dynamic struggle, because there's no way, like, just put in the perspective of the boss being ordered around by the girlfriend, like, and he's the boss of her, like, it wouldn't even make sense.
So what I'm trying to say is, so she understood that, dynamic, and I say a lot of girls understand that dynamic, but the thing is, they're trying to get up in this world, right? So if they have an opportunity, if the boss fancies her, right? There's two things that's gonna happen. Either the boss is gonna actually take her seriously and make her his girlfriend, or she's gonna be having some flings with the boss. Yeah, and we've seen this multiple times. John Tory, our mayor,
God, yeah,
wasn't he under the same
situation?
He was
Yeah,
under the same
yeah,
situation.
yeah.
But the only difference was he never made it his girlfriend. That was
Yes,
just
that
a
was
fling
a
at
fling.
work.
That's
so
where
this happens. This
That's what I was gonna say. That happens, but it's only, in my opinion, acceptable in a sense if it's a one-off, if it's those quick scenarios.
Yeah.
But when you make it a long, drawn-out situation,
no,
and then
you're asking for trouble.
then you're paying the price for because
You're asking for trouble.
You drew it out for so long. You're asking for trouble, and there's a way more. It's more believable on the victim side. Like, people believe that story because they'll say, "Well, you had a long history together."
Yeah.
They're not gonna question something like that. They're gonna say, "Well, you had a long history with him. He probably did shit like this." Like,
Yeah.
people aren't gonna doubt these type of words. Especially, we like to believe any victim or person that claims to be a victim.
Mm-hmm.
So whoever comes up first and says the allegation is who we tend to believe, because the other side has to play defense.
Yeah.
And playing defense doesn't give you any advantage, right? So she came with her offense and he had to play defense, unfortunately. But she's already done damage because she started before he could have a chance to stop it. And that's the biggest thing about this. But again, I was talking about what she said where she wanted to advocate for women. But it's funny how when the payout comes, all
forget
of a
about
sudden
that.
those things are
Out the window.
out the window, just like that. And that's so crazy that, you know, we got women out here that can play that type of game
Yes.
of allegations and abuse. But once the pay is right, all of a sudden, well, you know what? Actually, we're just going to settle things, keep it hush hush because I got paid enough to keep my mouth shut at least. And who gives a fuck about anyone else? I'm just going to, you know, leave it at that.
So it just goes to show you that they use that angle to make themselves seem righteous.
Yes.
And they have a sense of honor and respect
Yeah.
and morals, and but then after you find out that these girls their thought process is premeditated, it's planned, it's organized. They have a vision of what they're looking to get.
Yes.
They have an objective, and if the objective is hit, that's all. That's the bottom line.
That's all. They'll take the foot off the gas.
They'll take their foot off the gas, and then they'll keep it moving. But it's like, oh wait, hold on. I thought you were trying to educate young women and to get out of these relationships.
Wasn't it not about the money? I thought it was just about educating women. Why do you need the money out of it?
Oh, did I
now?
say that? Oh
Yeah,
no, I mean I was
no.
just trying to get paid.
Yeah, exactly.
I
So-
got a family. I got two kids.
Exactly.
and
So
a
that's
husband.
where I see the thing, because you want 30 million for what exactly? You put up with it. No one
Yeah.
told you to put up with it, and it's not like he's getting criminal charges because there weren't no criminal
Yes.
filing. This is just a lawsuit and suing him because obviously
All alleged.
it's for defamation. Like, if you think about it, like, the lawsuit is to just put a lawsuit out, defame you,
Yeah.
or just basically ruin your name. So then you have no choice but to pay me that money.
Exactly. And then the thing is, I think for Diddy and his people, his lawyers and stuff of that
Yeah.
nature, they see how damaging that can be to a person's career or to
Absolutely.
their reputation. Look at Johnny Depp. He ended up
Johnny Depp, yeah.
He ended up winning his case, but look how much damage he did.
Irreparable damage, yep.
Yeah, it's like what do you do? Even if you get paid by her, the fact that all that damage he lost films
Yeah,
from
lost
Disney,
films,
Pirates of
boycotted by certain
Caribbean,
people.
like he lost some stuff. He lost value because
Absolutely.
of a woman trying to defame him, and it was just like that. That's why you gotta be very careful when.
And in that case, it was proven that she actually was, like, he won a defamation suit against her.
so he won
just
a
people
defamation.
listening, like,
Yeah.
don't jump to conclusion and be
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, you guys are jumping on the opposite side. No, there's cases where there are women that are lying about this.
Yes.
We've seen it. So we're
Yes.
gonna flip the script and join the opposite side and question what's being said, question what's happening.
Well, we have to look at her actions,
and
what she
look
decided to
the
do at the end of the
actions.
day.
And at the end of the day, she took the bag and ran. So all those defending, she took the bag and ran. She didn't care about whoever was going to help out.
Whatever she was saying.
Because all of who she's going to help out, that's all through the wind, throughout the thrown out.
Yeah.
Wait. What about what were you going to say? Why don't we come out and say what you have to say? Because now I know people are waiting and saying, no. What'd you have to say? Say what you had to say. What did he do? Was it true? Because she's already put it out in the
Yeah.
world.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, when you put these things in the world, it's stuck. And now what we're might see is a whirlwind behind this. So there might
What do
be
you mean
a
by
lot
that?
more allegations coming Diddy's way. That's for sure.
So what I got out of the whole thing, the fact that he paid in the 2 days of when the suit was called, like when she actually filed for the suit,
Yeah.
more women are gonna come out. So the Me Too, whew, that is coming. I seen one girl actually. I was watching social media. I was looking. I think it was on Instagram or
Yeah,
TikTok. She came out, started saying that Diddy was doing some crazy stuff when that was his girlfriend. I'm like, what? Like, where are you coming out of?
Oh,
now they're gonna be coming out the
man.
woodworks. It's gonna be like a Tiger Woods case
Tiger
all
Woods
over
case
again.
all over again.
Yes,
Every
yes.
single
Because
woman's
now
gonna
everybody's
come
gonna
out
try
the-
and get a bag. It's like, what? This girl got 30 million in 2 days? Oh, I'm trying to get this bag.
Yeah, and she hadn't even
What
been
you
in a
talking about?
relationship with this guy in the last 5 years. So-
Exactly.
So I was gonna talk about the law because I know people don't understand how the law works in the States. But so pretty much for a case like this, it basically says, like other recent sexual assault lawsuits being brought by the Adult Survivors Act, the New York law that allows people who say they're victims of sexual abuse to file civil suits. So not criminal. It's not a criminal complaint. It's just civil suit after the statute of limitations has expired. The 1-year window to bring cases under this law ends next week. So there's a 1-year window for this, and this ends. So what I read, it said that with the expiration, this is what she said about the law. Like with the expiration of the New York's Adult Survivors Act fast approaching, she said, it became clear that this was an opportunity to speak about the trauma I've experienced and that I will be recovering from the rest of my life, right? So that expired 1 week before she filed it. So obviously if that had expired, she wouldn't be able to file that suit because the statute of limitation is a certain amount of years. But she managed to file it just before that. So the law is saying basically that you can file a civil suit in those cases. But again, civil suits are just suing people for money, not for anything else.
Yeah.
You're not putting them under the jail. So that's why the allegations to me were disturbing because these are serious allegations. And these are
100%.
serious allegations that should be examined. But the fact that you just took the money and ran, now you leave those allegations to float in the universe, how's that supposed to work? Someone has to answer for these.
Oh, of course.
Someone has to answer
Oh, yeah,
for
and they're going to
this.
be pushing for
And
those
I
answers.
imagine other women will take that mantle and run with it.
100%.
There's
And
no
then
way.
Even the fact that she said the trauma and all the psychological issues that you've so-called received,
Yeah.
has it been remedied from the 30 million? Was that?
I guess so. It
was
must have
that?
been.
It must have been remedied because it's like,
Oh, buddy, memory loss works good.
oh
and 30
yeah, she
million's on
got
your head.
amnesia all of a sudden. 30 million in 2 days. Oh,
Sheesh.
whew.
She's living good, man.
She's like, she went from depression to the like, I'm at the
Depression
highest of
to
highs.
ascension. Like,
Yeah,
she
like,
went right-
I'm at the highest of highs. I took a rocket.
10x, buddy,
I
10x.
took right off, like
right
SpaceX
off.
right there.
Yeah, there you
right
go.
out the atmosphere, just the stratosphere. I just
Yeah,
right
man.
out. So
that was just a crazy
was
story
crazy.
that
That
like
was-
we read up on. And
Yeah.
just speaking on like, relationships and dealing with those type of issues, because again, like that relationship was obviously a long-term relationship that had its toxicity, whatever that most relationships have, especially long-term relationships. But again, if you're in a relationship that's toxic like this, that shit's going down that you don't like, learn to leave as quick as possible. Don't get trapped and absorbed into a relationship that's not serving you. And that's the thing that Cassie,
but I think it was serving her. I think with the house being paid, the cars are closed.
well, maybe there's a point where it was serving her, and then there's a
And
point
then,
when she
but
felt that it
so my
wasn't
whole
serving
thing
her.
is the worst part about that when it comes to a guy that has money is at any time a woman could flip the switch and
Yeah.
say things aren't working in her favor anymore, and now I want to get paid. I don't want to be with you no more. I want to be able to live my life, but I also want you to pay for the time that I spent with you. So if it's 10 years, I want to get paid for that 10 years that I
Yes,
was with you. Even though
that's
you
where
paid
North
for my
America's
clothes,
headed.
my apartment, my car, me being signed to your label, me having those experiences with you, all those trips and vacations. Yeah, you know what? I don't really care about all of that. That passed. I spent 10 years with you. I felt terrible while you were giving me all these things. And now I want to live my own life, but at the same time, I want you to pay for my expenditures.
Yeah, that's absolutely
This is where it gets crazy.
insane.
This is what gets crazy for
There's
Western
no
women.
way. There's no way. You
Right?
can't have your cake and eat it too.
Yeah, well, clearly
Those
in this society you can.
You can't have your cake
This
and eat it
society
too.
you can.
I guess you could. I guess
Yeah.
you could, because obviously she had her cake and ate it too.
Oh, yeah,
because,
for sure.
Again, with abuse, there's also what he did for you, and obviously that's lost through this whole thing.
Yeah.
And, like again, he's paying for a car, apartment, etc.
All that's lost. All that's
Family
lost.
members, vacays,
All
you
that's
name
lost.
it. You
Yeah.
name it. You know,
all those benefits
putting her
that she
on, like,
so-called had were stuff that he was supposed to do as a man with all these resources and being a business mogul. That's
it.
just normal. That's supposed to be the norm.
yeah.
Now, everything that comes after the fact, when I decide to leave for whatever reason, I need you to pay for that too, because I can't afford what you got going on.
Yeah.
I will never reach the heights that you got going on.
Not through my work
I'll choose
ethic. No,
a
not through
lower
that.
status
Yeah.
man compared to you.
Yep.
And I'll have kids with that individual. But at the same time, I still need you. I need you to be my my backer. I need you to be my donor.
Yeah, you need me
I need you
donor.
to be my sponsor, my donor, whatever you want to call it. That's what I need you to do.
On a much smaller scale, this is where a lot of guys don't want to get married or
Yes.
don't want to be in these long-term relationships because of
Well, with Western women, at least.
because of the possibility of you being a kind of somewhat of a donor
Yeah.
to someone else's lifestyle,
Lifestyle,
right?
yeah.
So like obviously if you divorce, you may have to pay alimony depending on
Yeah.
how successful you are. And we're not talking about people that aren't successful. We're talking about those that are successful, because marriage is not for people that aren't successful. It
Yes,
isn't.
it's
for
not.
people that are doing good in life, that have the money, take care of a family, take care of a woman, take care of the children that come with that, and potentially other family members. So
Exactly.
anytime we talk about, men being careful, we're talking about men that obviously are walking along their path, with success on their mind, with success.
Well, they got their
and
shit together.
results,
That's what we're
yes,
trying to say.
Success and results to prove it. So they got their shit together. And again, when you have your shit together, that's when you have to ask yourself these serious questions.
Does it make
because
sense? Yeah.
Does it make sense to deal with certain women if, there's potential chances of exposure, potential chance of defamation, potential chance of false
Extortion.
allegations, extortion, blackmail, and speaking of that, we can go back to the whole situation with Joe Smith, the NBA player that found his wife on OnlyFans, right?
Yeah.
Reason I want to talk about that, because when that situation happened, his wife, he was fine in his relationship, and then she went behind his back and was doing what she was doing,
Yep.
right? And that was a representation of him. And he ended up getting, embarrassed and put online, and she's saying she's on OnlyFans and she's been on it for a year, and this guy has to sit there and listen to it. And we're seeing all these examples of this goofy kind of activity happening with these relationships, whether they're celebrities or whether they're normal people. That's not so much of a concern. It's just we're seeing what's happening out in the world when it comes to dating, when it comes to having these relationships and being vulnerable, especially when you deal with someone for a long time.
I would say hers is a bit different just because she was a porn star.
Oh, was she?
Yeah. And he knew that prior to getting into the relationship.
Yes, okay, that makes sense. But
so
still,
she
my
said,
thing
"You
is
knew me.
communication, though.
You knew who I was when you got into the relationship. You tried to change me." And he's like, yeah, but you got married. Yeah, that doesn't change a person just because you got married to them.
Yeah, but when you get married, there's obviously the commitment thing. So it's just like when we were talking earlier.
They don't believe in this type of
But
commitment.
when we were talking
here.
about earlier, like off camera, we were talking about like marriage. We're saying like, certain people, well, it depends what your values are, right?
Yeah.
It depends what your values are. If you're getting married just to say the word, you're getting married, well, then there can be no rules there, and then you get divorced, and then it finishes, right? So there's nothing serious about it. But if you're saying the traditional way, typically anything you do, you don't do in private when you're married.
Yeah.
So when you start doing things in private, that the relationship starts to dissolve because the trust is not there.
Yeah.
And if someone finds out what you're doing privately and they don't appreciate that, chances of that relationship holding together or lasting is
Slim
slim to none, because there's no communication. You can't be in a marriage or in a relationship for that matter if you're saying you're committed and having a bunch of secrets, especially secrets that would affect the partner.
Yeah.
Now, there's gonna be secrets in relationships. It's inevitable, but there's certain things that just can't happen in a relationship. Obviously,
Definitely not that.
definitely not that. Not OnlyFans.
OnlyFans? Like, that's crazy. Like, I mean,
It's a crazy time we're in, man. It's a
It
crazy
is very
time we're in,
crazy.
man.
It's very crazy.
That's why it's funny that we talk about relationships, but it's like there's so much aspects of relationships nowadays. It's not so simple as in like, oh, traditional woman, traditional man, get married, have your kids, and everything like that. We don't have that no more in North America.
Not
That's
North America.
done.
You know that it's the culture itself that's fragmented. You know,
Yeah.
and why women don't have the certain values that women of other countries have in terms of, you know, sticking around through the hard times and doing their duty as a wife or a husband. It's a little different in different cultures and traditions. All that plays a role. I think in North America, we live in this bubble where the traditions are all scattered, where, you know, some cultures, I think when you go to these schools and institutions, they teach you something different. It doesn't matter whatever culture you're coming from and the belief systems that they teach you at home. Sometimes those get erased when you go to school and you learn different ideologies of how you should be living and conducting your life.
Of course.
And then that formulates the mind at a young age, and then that expands and grows when you get to an older age. And now you have this liberal mind state, and they can do whatever they want. There's no real structure. I don't believe in religion. I don't believe in this. I don't believe in that. I don't go to church. I don't go to the mosque. I don't
have any discipline.
Yeah, I don't have any discipline. Exactly. So I don't do any exercise. I don't care about my body, my health.
You don't submit to anything.
You don't submit to anything. So there's no real concrete thing that you do as an individual. You're there, you're floating. You're just kind of in limbo, and you know, like an Inception, where when you're sitting in limbo world, right?
You don't know where you need to be.
You don't know where you need to be. You're just kind of there. You just exist. Whatever you want to do, that's what you're going to do. So if you want to be an incel for the rest of your life, that's what you're going to do. You want to live in your mother's basement? Hey, what the heck? If I want to live in my mother's basement, my mother doesn't have a problem with it. Why do you have a problem with it?
Yeah.
I should be able to sit there for as long as I want to sit there. If I don't want to have any kids, what's your problem? I'm not bothering you.
Yeah,
you're not paying my bills.
Mentality.
So there's a lot of that mentality.
Yeah.
Exactly. If I want to be playing video games, doing esports, or I just want to sit there, if I go to work and I just want to come home, play video games all night, that's my business. What does that have to do with you? That doesn't affect your life. So, you know, it's a lot of that selfish mentality and not caring about as a community. You know, you don't care. You don't have a community, so you don't care about nobody but yourself. So I think that's what the issue is with Western society and the belief system. And it's so crazy and powerful that if people from other places around the world come here, they start to adapt that mentality, because they're like, it's the first world. They must know what they're doing, and they must be doing things correctly, because wherever I'm coming from doesn't have the infrastructure or the technology or just the wisdom of building the society as this society does. So they also implement that to their lifestyle, and that really screws up the whole dynamic between their relationships, where now they're thinking more of a Westerner instead of how they were thinking traditionally.
Yeah, unfortunately, like it's weird to say, because when we talk about Western culture, you have to understand that a lot of people, especially in the city we're from, Toronto, multicultural city, a lot of us are first generation. We're not born to many generations that were born in North America. We're dealing with generations that were before that. So, you know, we're not dealing with just all of our generations being in Canada, right? So that's a big difference with us, or being in North America, or having Western mentality. We have a different mentality from where our roots are from.
100%.
And a lot of other people have different mentalities from where their roots are from. So we can look at Western society, even though we grew up here and we have similar ideologies, not all the same ideologies, but we have similar ones that were programmed in us since we were young, obviously, with the indoctrination at the schools and all that, right? So we have some of that, but we still can identify and see the difference between cultures, because we have the ability to go back and forth. We can go from our parents' experience and then we can go from our own experience, and then we can go from people back home's experience to people down here's experience, especially when it comes to divorce, when it comes to single mothers, when it comes to, you know, full families, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So we can see the difference in terms of mentality, especially with the women. When we'd go there, remember we had a cousin there, female cousin. Most of our cousins were guys, but she was what? Cooking, cleaning, you know, figuring things out in terms of helping the family out.
100%.
With housely duties. Now, is that something I should expect in a Western country? No. Absolutely not. And I'm not going to have that ideology that that's a good possibility.
Yeah.
So it's just different. But when guys say, like, I'd rather say that more traditional style, sometimes they have examples to look at.
Yes,
they have
that's
examples to look at. So you can't really blame them and say, oh, you don't even provide. Why do you deserve that? Because they've seen guys that aren't the top moguls, and they have women that are doing this for them. They're regular guys that are grinding like every other guy. They're still doing that. They're not putting and making the finance the biggest deal in terms of submitting. And in this country, if you don't got it like Diddy, Diddy ain't getting Cassie without Diddy money.
Oh,
like
definitely
Diddy's not getting Cassie.
Oh, yeah.
He's getting lastly, like he's not getting no cash. He's getting the last in line, because if you're not the top, if you're not the first, you're last. So he's not getting the best, and these are all afforded due to work he did. So in this society, unfortunately, when you become that guy,
I wouldn't say that he wouldn't still be able to get a Cassie, because the thing is, we have to understand that you can still, as an older, because he's 10 years older, he's 10 years her senior. So as an older male, even if you're a blue-collar worker, if you're making money, right, you could get a woman that's 10 years younger,
the point of the matter,
and still be pretty.
Of course, in a perfect world.
Not in a perfect world. Like,
yes, in a perfect world, because that won't be so likely. I mean, at the end of the day, because you have to be around that.
Okay,
you're 37, you're not in those scenarios to find a 19-year-old. Right. What the hell? That's not even likely, because if you're not a baller, how the hell are you going to find that? You think what? Just because you have a couple 100,000 in your account, you're going to be able to find the 19-year-olds? That's not going to be an easy
We got
task.
dating apps.
Yeah, but that's not going to be an easy task regardless. You're going to have to fish out some bait. Like, it'd be tough, in my opinion, it'd be tough to do. It's not as easy as you think, and I don't think you're going to get the top-notch 19-year-old as a 37, unless you're the top-notch 37-year-old. There's other 37-year-olds that would be probably doing more than you. That's what I'm saying. You don't have to be Diddy, but you have to be someone of notoriety that people know to get certain caliber of pretty women. I'm just not saying that Cassie, she's a dime a dozen. There's other Cassies too. There's better looking women than Cassie. We see them all in TV shows and everything, right?
Yeah.
So there's so many pretty girls out there. Not to say can't get them, but let's just be realistic. All of us can't get these pretty girls if we don't have that money. Like, all of us.
Every woman speaks green.
Well, you could if you work out. Yeah, of course, there's the possibility. But realistically, you know, money is a big factor in attracting a very attractive woman.
Money is
saying if he
the
never was at
equalizer
that
to
level,
everything.
he probably is not pulling women of that caliber. He's probably pulling women that are lesser caliber in terms of looks, in terms of even talent, right? Like what they're able to bring to the table. Obviously, she was a singer still. She could dance still. So she had some talent.
Did she dance? I don't know about that.
In her video, she was dancing and singing. She had a bigger hit than a lot of people can say they had. So,
but now are we crediting her talent, or was it the machine that was behind her that got her where she was?
Everyone has the machine behind them.
No, because after the machine was gone, I didn't see nothing else come out.
But that's what I'm saying. But everyone has the machine behind them. So we can't judge talent based on that.
We can, because we can see how much a machine can push somebody in terms of...
Yeah, but once the machine stops, I think most artists fall off as well, too. I don't think that she's special to fall off. I think Beyonce, you don't give her the writers, you don't give her the producers, she falls off, too. You give Kanye, not the producers, not the writer, he's done, too. Drake, too. I think they're all done if they don't have those resources behind them of the major labor push and putting them on radios, putting them in interviews, controversy, all that type of stuff. So all of them will fall off, in my opinion. But like I said, with Diddy's situation, he had the money to afford a woman of that nature, age gap, all that stuff, enforced control, whatever you want to call it. He worked himself to get to that position, and people expect this. If you think that relationship is going to be a 50-50 relationship, y'all are tripping.
100%. I think that's all we got for this topic for today.
That's all we got for the topic. You already know. So
That was crazy.
It was crazy though. It's just it's a wild story though to hear.
No, the wild story, and there's gonna be a lot more wild stories that we're gonna hear, and it's always gonna be based on relationships. So as much as people say, "Oh yeah, you guys always talk about relationship," because it's always in our face. There's always somebody getting
There's always
screwed
something
over.
going on. Yeah,
You know?
someone's getting screwed over.
Someone's always
Typically
getting
it's the man.
and it's typically the man. He's gonna be forking up a
He's
lot of
forking up
cash,
money.
and it's usually guys that have money. But at the same time, we have to take into consideration if these guys have money and they're not able to stay in their relationship. What does an average Joe Schmo guy have any business in a relationship, in a marriage? What like business do they have, especially with Western women? Western women, they're all about the green, all about the Benjamins, baby.
Yeah, man, you see it.
That's
you see the
a real
interviews. You see
statement.
what people are saying.
Western
Like whether
women are looking for the guy that's got the greens.
Yes,
Because
equal or more.
Equal or more. And the same thing, and the thing that I was gonna say as well is, even if they say they're not about the green, if their favorite celebrity offers them to come to the hotel, what do you think they're gonna be doing?
9 times out of 10, you don't want to know that answer.
9 times out of 10, they're gonna be at that hotel. And why is it? It's not because this guy is like super attractive. It's because of his status. It's because of the money that he controls. It's
Influence over people.
The influence over people. It's that halo effect. It's that authority. It's what he can command, what he can do. He could fly you out.
That's why
Get
when you're
him to
far
the
from
hotel.
normal, you can do a lot of things.
That's why
when
we
you're far
preach
from
that.
normal, you can do a lot of things. So fellas, keep grinding.
Keep
grinding. But
Keep
again,
your head to the grindstone.
Even when you grind, people are gonna come after you, whether it's women,
Just
whether
gotta be
it's
careful.
men, whether
Be
it's
careful.
friends, whether it's family. There's always gonna be obstacles in your path. But again, you just gotta be focused and you have to take precautions. You have to walk
it.
like you're walking
Be weary.
on caution tape.
Yeah.
You got to realize that there's a lot of obstacles in reaching success, in doing the things that are going to make you better in life. So you guys just have to keep that in mind. And again, follow the podcast, listen to the podcast. That's what we got for today.